Hey folks, what's going on? It is August 1st, which means it's time for the monthly update on the pumpkin patch. We've got a little, some growth going on right here. Still got a little bit of yellowing around the leaves here, and I believe, without being too scientific about it or investigating too much, I believe that this yellowing on the leaves is due to too much nitrogen. I have a very hard time believing that it's a lack of nitrogen that's causing it, because I really loaded some manure down there, and I also put a whole lot of compost from last year's compost bin in there, and I also fertilized it with some of that Miracle-Gro feed, whatever you want to call it. So I have a really hard time thinking that it's a lack of nitrogen that's causing it. If anything, it's probably too much nitrogen that's causing it, which is probably the reason why this pumpkin plant here that was planted down here really leafed out, because usually if you have a lot of nitrogen you cause a lot of leaf growth, but very little fruit growth, and that's kind of what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of leaf activity. It's growing way up the fence. I've never had a pumpkin that's grown that far out. But I don't really have very many pumpkins to show for it. Off of this plant here, all I've got to show for it is one little pumpkin that's it just started within the last week. It's right there. Let me see if I can get in a little bit closer and show it to you. It's right here. Like I said, this one just started in the last week, and it's already August 1st, so it's a little late. It's a little late. So there's the first one, and it's growing, and I have a feeling it's going to be okay. A lot of times whenever if they start early, like if the pumpkin starts fruiting early, the plant will reject it after a while. So maybe after a week or so, when the pumpkin's about, like, baseball size, it'll just shrivel up and fall off and die. And there's really not much you can do about it if the pumpkin overall just rejects it. And I've got another little tiny pumpkin way up there. I'll probably end up sacrificing that one, cutting it off so that the pumpkin will commit more energy to growing this one here, because this one is a little bit bigger. But I'm going to kind of wait and see, maybe give it another day, and then I'll probably chop that one off. But then I've also got another plant planted here, and it's growing in this direction. So it's kind of starting out over here and growing in this direction. And now kind of what I have is I have two plants that are kind of growing into one another, and they've got crisscrossing vines, and it's hard for me to tell which vine goes to which plant. But I did follow one vine, and this pumpkin is producing this pumpkin right here. So this plant that I planted right up here is producing this pumpkin right here. It's doing pretty good. It's about 2 weeks old, and you can tell that it is already much larger than my hand. And look at the base of that thing. I mean, that is just huge. So I'm really hoping that this thing starts putting on some weight, starts gaining some mass. It's not a huge, the stem isn't really that big, which usually is an indication of how big the pumpkin's going to be. So the stem's really not that huge, but I put it on some cardboard so that the grass and any moisture in the dirt doesn't affect the pumpkin, and to kind of raise it up a little bit. So here's the biggest pumpkin that I have right now. It's actually growing off of my smallest pumpkin vine. Recall a few videos ago, I was showing you that this pumpkin vine here is much larger and much longer than this one that I started right here. And so even though this is a smaller vine and it doesn't go as long, it's actually got a bigger pumpkin. So that's my update. I've currently got 3 little pumpkins growing, and the leaves on this one are just fantastic. There's no yellowing on them at all, and that's probably because I used less manure in this one, and I also didn't use any compost. So this one does have less nitrogen in the soil, which is another reason why I'm thinking that the yellowing on the leaves is due to too much nitrogen. So I don't know if that's going to turn around and bite me or not, but I'll keep an eye on it. I'm also going to keep an eye on this little flying insect right here to make sure it's not a vine borer. Let's see. Let's follow it. It's an interesting little insect. It looks like it might be a vine borer. There's a moth, and he is taking off. So it might not be a vine borer. Some of these pollinators, they look like moths when they're flying because they don't fly very fast. So anyways, here's a little update on my pumpkin patch. I've got 3 little pumpkins. Last year I had pumpkins that were about this big by early to mid-July, so I'm at least 2 weeks late, maybe a month late compared to last year. But I think that's okay because we've still got over 30 days of growing left to go with good weather. At least 30 days of good growing weather left. So I'm not really that afraid of it, but it'll be a little bit closer to Halloween by the time I get my pumpkins. So yeah, so what I've been doing is I've got a little hose right here, and about, if it doesn't rain in a 3-day stretch, I come out here and I just water each pumpkin plant at night at the base. I've also got the vine. This vine is buried in the ground a little bit right here, so I also give that portion where the vine is buried, I give that a little bit of water, and then of course I water that one down there. So, all right, well, thanks for watching. Hope I didn't bore you too long, and stay tuned. I'll show you, hopefully I'll have some big pumpkins to show you in a month or two. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.